In the serene, 1926 cotton fields of Georgia, black laborers were diligently harvesting cotton. Among them was a 7-year-old boy named Cecil, who appeared to be genuinely enjoying the simple moments and the light-hearted banter with his parents. But then, the peaceful atmosphere shattered in an instant. The plantation owner's son had arrived and demanded that Cecil's mother follow him. The boy's father tried to calm little Cecil with a sentence so incomprehensible,
"This is world. We just living in it."
so morally repugnant that it crushes the heart of anyone with a sound conscience. Suddenly, a gunshot shattered the stillness coming from the direction of the cabin. Cecil's father froze. His eyes widened, his breath caught between rage and disbelief. When he finally confronted the plantation owner's son, anger overtook him. Feeling challenged and superior, the young white man raised his pistol, and bang! The bullet struck Cecil's father right in the forehead. He collapsed instantly, lifeless. Hearing the commotion, Mrs. Annabeth, the lady of the plantation, rushed to the scene. She stood over the fallen body, her face cold and emotionless. With chilling calm, she ordered, "Bury him." Then, as if nothing had happened, she turned to little Cecil, who stood frozen in terror, and uttered a so-called comforting remark, a cruel, racist sentence that carved an even deeper wound into the boy's heart.
"I'm gonna teach you how to be a house nigga."
But life offered no time to grieve. At an age when most children were learning to dream, Cecil was forced to adapt. He was brought into the main house to serve. From that day on, the boy who had lost everything began his lifelong journey as a butler, mastering the art of obedience, restraint, and quiet dignity, while burying his pain beneath an impeccable smile. Years passed, and Cecil grew into a young man. A life-changing decision awaited him. With unwavering resolve, he chose to leave, to walk away from the plantation that held the darkest memories of his life. Before he left, he took a precious pocket watch, a keepsake from his late father. He said goodbye to his mother, still alive but her soul shattered, trapped in the madness that grief had built around her. Standing before Mrs. Annabeth, Cecil gave his final farewell. The old woman watched him go, without a single flicker of emotion. The first days outside the plantation felt like slamming into a wall of stone. Because of the color of his skin, young Cecil was rejected everywhere. No job, no home, no food. He faced a world divided by race, a society ruled by absurd laws, and by justice that belonged only to the privileged. Hunger finally broke him. In the darkness of night, Cecil was forced to steal food. The small noise he made while sneaking into a restaurant woke the head butler. Cecil was caught red-handed, but in the butler's eyes, there was no anger, only empathy, the quiet sorrow of one brother to another. Instead of punishment, the man tended to Cecil's wounds, and in that fragile moment of mercy, Cecil saw an opportunity, the beginning of a life that might finally be his own. With all the humility he could gather, Cecil pleaded and persuaded the head butler to give him a chance. A job. As always, Cecil proved to be an exceptional worker. He adapted quickly, learned fast, and carried out every task flawlessly. Then one afternoon, during the lunch break, the head butler approached him, a calm smile on his face, yet eyes heavy with experience. He offered Cecil a new position, and along with it, a piece of wisdom that would define the rest of his life. "We have two faces, son. The first is the face we show to our own. The second and most important one is the face we show to the white folks. That face doesn't hear, doesn't see, and only serves." Cecil listened, and though the words were painful, he understood. This was survival, not surrender.
Make them feel non-threatened.
Year after year passed. Cecil Gaines had grown into a composed, mature man. He now worked in a luxurious hotel, serving the elite, the powerful, politicians and influential figures of the time. One evening, while attending to a group of politicians, one of them playfully asked for Cecil's opinion about the rising storm in politics. Cecil's response, calm, thoughtful and intelligent, caught the attention of a mysterious guest, sitting quietly in the same room. The next morning, as Cecil enjoyed breakfast with his wife Gloria and their two sons Louis and Charlie, the phone rang. It was a call, inviting him to a place he had never dared to dream of, the White House. Wearing his finest suit, Cecil waited, a quiet nervousness beneath his calm exterior. When he finally met the head butler of the White House, the atmosphere was tense, formal, almost intimidating.
How'd you find me?
But Cecil's gift for reading people and his gentle, respectful tone melted the stiffness in the room. By the end of that meeting, he had earned the position. Cecil Gaines was now a butler at the White House.
Oh yeah, you make a good house nigga.
At home, a small celebration was held. Laughter filled the room, and for a brief moment life felt perfect. But Louis, Cecil's eldest son, couldn't hide his unease. To him, his father's pride in serving the government felt like loyalty to hypocrisy, a system that turned a blind eye to the cruel reality of racial inequality.
I'm Cecil Gaines.
The day of Cecil's first shift at the White House had arrived. Senior butler Freddie Fallows guided him through every detail of his duties, from posture to timing to silence. As they walked through the grand hallway, they crossed paths with Mr. Warner, the mysterious guest from the hotel. His arrogant glance said it all, an unspoken reminder of the invisible hierarchy that ruled even here. Then came the moment that would define Cecil's life, his first time delivering tea to the president's office. His heart pounded. This was a place he had never imagined standing in.
You hear nothing. You see nothing. You only serve.
The Oval Office, quiet, commanding, almost sacred, nervous, yet composed. Cecil stepped forward, each movement precise, rehearsed, and dignified. Years of discipline, years of silence, had prepared him for this. He was no longer just a servant. He was a shadow, serving the President of the United States.
How'd it go?
Almost shit myself.
Louis had finally graduated and chose to continue his studies at Fisk University, far from home. It wasn't without reason. Cecil let his son go, his heart heavy, his pride mixed with worry, while Louis left with fire in his eyes, determined to fight for a world his father could only dream of. Back at the White House kitchen, the air buzzed with laughter and soft chatter among the staff. Simple stories, ordinary jokes, a small escape from the weight of their daily duties. Then, unexpectedly, the Vice President himself walked in. The room fell silent. He was in the middle of his campaign and had come seeking something more than service, votes. With polished charm and a promise of equality, he spoke of justice, opportunity, and a new America. The staff exchanged quiet glances. They had heard these words before, sweet on the tongue, bitter in truth. At Fisk University, Louis met a young woman named Carol. After a brief introduction, she invited him to join a small group, the Freedom Riders, the seed of a movement that would one day shake the foundation of America. The group carried a vision and a will of steel.
It's so effective in India. Attack!
You coon ass!
Get up, and look at this. They'll do whatever it takes to break their...
You're a nigger!
...is an experiment.
Is that up there or is that here?
After weeks of training and preparation, the day finally came for their first act of protest, a sit-in against social injustice. Their target, a restaurant that refused to serve black customers. Louis and his friends entered quietly and took their seats at the counter, the one reserved for white patrons. The waiters, with a tone sharp and menacing, ordered them to move to the colored section, but they refused. They stayed silent, unmoving. Hours passed. No one served them. But they didn't leave. Their calm defiance spoke louder than any words, until finally, the crowd turned violent. Shouts erupted, fists flew, and in a cruel twist of fate, those who stood for peace were the ones arrested and dragged away. Meanwhile, back at the White House, Cecil and his fellow butlers had just finished serving a political banquet. As the others relaxed, Cecil turned toward the television, and there, on the flickering screen, was the face of his son, Louis, in handcuffs. His blood ran cold. The fear he had buried deep within him had finally come true. Because of the riot, Louis and his friends were sentenced to 30 days in jail. When Cecil finally saw his son again, his disappointment erupted. "You lied to me," he shouted. "You risked your life. For what?" His voice trembled, not from rage alone, but from the pain of a father, torn between pride and terror. Louis said nothing. To him, his father, the good, loyal man, had chosen to serve the very system they were fighting against. When John F. Kennedy took office, a new wave of hope rose among minorities. Kennedy brought a breath of fresh air, a long-awaited promise of change. But as we all know, that hope was too beautiful to last. Many good things were buried along with his tragic departure. After 30 days of imprisonment, Louis and his fellow freedom riders were released. On their way home, things seemed calm. There was a faint sense of relief in the air. But midway through the journey, their bus was ambushed by members of the Ku Klux Klan, a twisted racial group hiding behind the mask of religion. Though the bus was completely burned down to ashes, they were miraculously spared. There were no casualties in that horrific attack. At home, Cecil and Gloria were filled with deep anxiety, waiting for news from their eldest son. Suddenly, the phone rang. It was Louis. Ironically, he was calling from behind bars once again. The victims had become the prisoners. This time, the sentence was longer, 3 months in jail. At the White House, Cecil entered the Oval Office to begin his duties. He found President Kennedy lying on the floor, staring up at the ceiling, asking Cecil how many pills he took each day. It seemed the weight and chaos of the nation had begun to wear him down. Suddenly, the president changed the subject. He looked at Cecil seriously and said he knew that Louis, Cecil's son, was part of the Freedom Riders and now imprisoned alongside Martin Luther King Jr., the leader of the movement. The president expressed his concern. Kennedy admitted that the anti-racial movement had touched his heart and changed the way he saw the problems in his country.
The fires of discord are burning in every city, north and south, where legal remedies are not at hand. Redress is sought in the streets, in demonstrations, parades.
Not long after, announcing his promising new policy, the president, known for his warmth toward those around him, was shot dead in his car. A deep sorrow fell upon everyone who had ever known him. At the White House, Mrs. Kennedy mourned her husband in heartbreaking silence. She refused to change her blood-stained clothes, wanting everyone to see the horror of. For Cecil, this was the second time in his life he had seen so much blood. The last time was when his father was shot on the plantation.
Please tell me how I can help you.
At home, Gloria, Cecil's wife, was angrily packing Louis's belongings, ordering their youngest son, Charlie, to store them in the basement. She was upset and hurt. Louis hadn't visited them for 3 years. Not long after, Cecil came home. He showed the tie given to him by Mr. Kennedy as a keepsake. Still filled with anger, tension grew between Cecil and Gloria. Gloria felt that Cecil's job had created a deep divide in their family, especially with Louis. Cecil understood his wife's pain, and he promised to pay more attention to his family. Soon after, Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson, known as LBJ, rose to power following Kennedy's death. The president, controversial for his deep involvement in the Vietnam War, went on to win the election in 1965, but under Johnson's leadership, racial tensions escalated. In March 1965, a tragic event known as Bloody Sunday took place in Alabama. Police and state troopers brutally attacked unarmed civil rights protesters as they marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. When President Johnson asked Cecil about his son's whereabouts, Cecil could only answer that he didn't know exactly where Louis was. He felt as though he lived in two different worlds, one serving the seat of power and the other fighting for justice in the streets. One day, after years of silent endurance, Cecil finally gathered his courage. He asked for a private meeting with Mr. Warner, the man who had indirectly helped him get his job. With a bit of nervousness, yet full of determination, Cecil spoke his mind. He wanted equal pay for the black staff, the same as their white counterparts. The answer was a cold no. Mr. Warner's face remained proud and unmoved, refusing even the smallest change in the deep-rooted racial hierarchy of the White House.
Your leader has been taken from us by hatred and bitterness.
Then came April 1968, a time of chaos and heartbreak. The assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. ignited riots across the nation. On his way home, Cecil saw turmoil and fire spreading through the streets. His mind was in turmoil. Why did this keep happening? Why did the color of one's skin always demand such a painful price?
My room's pink.
Years later, Louis returned home with Carol, now his girlfriend. The air at the dinner table was suffocatingly tense. Not a single smile in sight. Louis had changed. his tone sharper, his eyes colder, his heart harder. Cecil, who had carried years of disappointment toward his eldest son, struggled to hold himself together. Then Louis began talking about politics. The tension snapped like a wire pulled too tight. Louis insulted his father's work, and in that instant, Gloria's long-suppressed anger finally exploded. A sharp slap landed across Louis's face.
And everything you have is because of that Butler. And get out of this house.
The next day, Louis was arrested again. His younger brother, Charlie, begged for help from Carter Wilson, Cecil's trusted colleague, to bail Louis out. After giving a few words of advice about struggle and family, Uncle Carter quietly left. That night, only Louis and Charlie remained. Then Charlie revealed something that stunned his brother. He wanted to join the army to serve in Vietnam. Louis tried to stop him. "After everything this country has done to us, you still talk about nationalism?" But Charlie's eyes were steady. His mind was made up. Louis's words meant nothing anymore. During Richard Nixon's presidency, not much had changed. Nixon, the same man who once, in the White House kitchen, spoke sweet promises to Cecil and his colleagues, now contradicted every word with his policies.
Gave him the green light to gut those sons of bitches.
Good.
Absolutely.
No, round them all up and throw them down an elevator shaft.
Meanwhile, the Black Panther Party was growing stronger, its ideology and programs pulling Louis deeper into the radical movement. But over time he began to see cracks, conflicts of vision, of values, of purpose. Eventually, Louis decided to walk away. Carol tried to convince him to stay, but it was no use. Louis had chosen his own path, his own way to fight for justice. It was Cecil's birthday. Only he and Gloria were there to celebrate. Gloria had prepared a small surprise, a hand-knitted sweater she had just finished. In that tender moment, the phone rang. It was Louis asking for help again. Hearing that, Cecil's disappointment and anger flared once more.
I didn't expect to hear from you on birthday, and he ain't giving none out today.
Not long after, 2 military officers arrived. Dressed in crisp uniforms, faces solemn, they delivered the news that shattered their world. Charlie, their son who was serving in Vietnam, had been killed in action. It was the kind of message no parent should ever receive, and certainly not on a birthday. Charlie's funeral was solemn, attended by co-workers and neighbors. But Louis, the elder brother, never came, not even for the final farewell. The distance between father and son felt deeper than ever, a wound that refused to heal. Years passed, and Cecil now looked worn by time. In a private moment, President Nixon asked him about his father.
Your father's still alive, Cecil? No, sir.
Saying he would hold on to his presidency even if everyone wanted him to resign. But as we all know, that wasn't true. On August 9, 1974, Nixon resigned, crushed under the weight of the Watergate scandal. Suddenly, Louis appeared at the White House during Cecil's working hours. But Cecil didn't seem pleased. The disappointments that had piled up over the years were too heavy to hide anymore. Since Charlie's death, Cecil's life had never been the same. His heart felt empty, as if a deep hole had been carved inside him, one that could never be filled. Meanwhile, Louis tried his hand at politics, driven by the noble desire to change the system from within. He joined the Democratic Party and ran for Congress, but his campaign ended in failure. After hearing the news, Gloria, Cecil's wife, revealed a secret. She told him that Louis had come home after Charlie's funeral. He had found her collapsed in the kitchen, overwhelmed by unbearable grief. Louis helped her up, cleaned her face, and said softly that she was the kind of mother everyone wished they had. It was a quiet moment of healing, one Cecil never knew about. During the presidency of Ronald Reagan, Cecil had earned complete trust, often being assigned to handle special duties. Even at the peak of his career, Cecil never forgot where he came from. He once again gathered the courage to meet Mr. Warner, this time for the last time, demanding equal pay for all employees. For 20 years he had served faithfully, yet the pay gap between black and white workers had never been addressed. But this time Cecil didn't come to plead. It turned out it was President Reagan himself who told Cecil to demand the raise. For Cecil, this was a great victory. He was finally seen not as a servant, but as an equal human being. First Lady Nancy Reagan was deeply moved by Cecil's courage and loyalty. Because of him, every black staff member received both a pay raise and a promotion. As a gesture of appreciation, Mrs. Reagan invited Cecil and his wife to a celebration the following week, not as servants, but as honored guests. Wearing her finest gown, Gloria Gaines was in awe. She never imagined attending such a glamorous event, sitting among the nation's most respected guests. She smiled brightly, enjoying every second of the moment. But Cecil felt different. He wasn't used to sitting among the crowd, being served like the white guests. His eyes instinctively searched for work to do. His hands felt awkward without a tray to carry. He was a butler, now forced to be an honored guest. One night, Cecil woke up from a haunting nightmare about his dark childhood. Confusion filled his heart. He quietly walked to Louis's room and gazed at his eldest son's photo, tucked inside a book. Slowly, Cecil's view of Louis's struggle began to change. He started to see everything that had happened from a different light. And now serving others no longer brought him peace. His heart felt unbearably empty. Finally, the moment came for Cecil to make a life-changing decision. He resigned from his job. President Reagan was taken aback, deeply saddened by the departure of his loyal butler. Just before leaving the Oval Office, Reagan spoke softly about his fears over the racial policies he had created. Cecil cut him off with words sharp enough to pierce the soul.
Sometimes I think I'm just scared of what it really means. I'm trying not to be so scared anymore.
The scene shifts to Louis. This time, he and his community are protesting against the arrest of Nelson Mandela in South Africa. Not long after, a familiar figure appears. Cecil stands at the end of the street, watching Louis from a distance. Louis notices his father's presence, walks toward him and asks what he's doing there. He's still wary, afraid his father might come to criticize him.
I lost you. Sorry.
The demonstrators are soon arrested. Inside the jail cell, Cecil sees Louis and his companions up close. He realizes they are not criminals. They are people fighting for justice. Years passed. The time finally came. The campaign of the first black presidential candidate in American history. Cecil and Gloria were now in their old age. They had a beautiful granddaughter from Louis's marriage. At last, the family seemed whole again, peaceful, harmonious. A day before that historic election, Cecil and Gloria were dressed and ready, waiting for Louis to pick them up for church. That day, Gloria didn't look well. When Cecil went to fetch her Bible from the bedroom, he returned to find Gloria had passed away, smiling peacefully in her favorite chair.
Louis, come on down! Come down!
Then came the day they had both longed to see. For Cecil, the newly elected president, carried with him a new hope, a redemption for his people. Cecil received an invitation, an honor, to meet the new president at the White House. He wore the tie gifted by President Kennedy, a badge of honor and his father's pocket watch. As he waited in the White House, a Navy admiral approached him. When the admiral offered to escort him to the president's office, Cecil looked at him and said,
I know the way.